I still remember the sound of her laughter that night. Sharp, cold, and laced with mockery. The kind of laughter that tells you love has already died. Only pride remains to kick around its ashes. We were sitting across the dinner table, the same one where we used to share our dreams, talk about vacations, and plan a family. Now it felt like a war zone. Every word a bullet, every silence a landmine. Maybe if you paid half as much attention to me as you do to your work, she said, swirling her wine, you'd have a reason to smile once in a while. I looked up from my plate, tired. Maybe if you didn't treat every conversation like a contest, I would. Her lips curved into that familiar smirk, the one that used to be playful but now was venomous. Don't like it, she said, her voice dripping with disdain. Find someone else, then. I stared at her, letting the words settle like shards of glass in my chest. There was no remorse in her tone, no hesitation, just the smug confidence of someone who thought she could never be replaced. So I whispered almost to myself. Already did. The sound of her laughter died instantly. It wasn't a lie. Not entirely. I had met someone else. Her name was Maya, a new project manager at the firm. She wasn't the kind of woman who turned heads when she walked into a room, but she was the kind who made you feel seen, like your words mattered. She laughed at my tired jokes, noticed when I hadn't eaten, and once brought me coffee just the way I liked it. 2 sugars, no cream, without even asking. But here's the truth. Nothing ever started between us. Not really. No dates. No confessions. No lines crossed. Just what-ifs. And maybe that's what hurt the most, because I never thought I'd even think about someone else. Until my wife, Sarah, made it so easy to imagine life without her. Sarah and I had been married 7 years. 7 long, complicated, beautiful, and brutal years. She was a firestorm, brilliant, ambitious, magnetic. The kind of woman everyone noticed. And for a long time I was proud of that. But somewhere between her late-night work dinners and sudden new perfume, I began to feel like a background character in her success story. At first, I brushed it off as paranoia. But then came the nights when she didn't come home until after midnight, the phone she always kept face down, the sudden defensiveness when I asked simple questions. Why do you always need to know where I am? She'd snap. Because you're my wife, I'd reply softly. And you're my warden, she'd counter. That's how the distance grew, inch by inch, silence by silence, until even the air between us felt foreign. The night after our argument, she didn't come home. I sat by the window, watching headlights trace the walls. It was past 2 a.m. when her car finally pulled into the driveway. I didn't move. I didn't speak. She walked in, heels clicking against the wooden floor, her perfume too strong, too unfamiliar. She paused when she saw me. Still awake. I just nodded. She shrugged off her coat, avoiding eye contact. Don't start, Aaron. I'm tired. Of me? I asked quietly. She froze for a second, then let out a breathy laugh. Of this. Of your suspicion. Not everything revolves around you. That was the moment I realized she wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. The truth came 2 weeks later. It wasn't a confrontation. It wasn't a fight. It was a message. Her phone buzzed on the counter while she was in the shower. I wasn't the kind of man who checked his wife's phone, but something about the way it lit up, the name Daniel Redheart, and the message. Last night was perfect. Same time tomorrow. Froze me. I didn't need to open it. The words were enough. Perfect. Tomorrow. Heart emoji. I sat down, my hands trembling, my throat dry. 7 years of love, trust, and promises, reduced to a line of text glowing in the dark. When she came out, wrapped in a towel, humming like nothing had happened, I couldn't look at her. Everything okay? She asked. He nodded. Yeah. Everything's perfectly clear now. That night I didn't sleep. I went for a drive, circling empty streets, letting the city lights blur through my tears. I wanted to scream, to confront her, to break something. But instead I made a decision to wait. Not out of weakness but clarity. I needed her to show me who she truly was before I decided how to end things. Over the next week I played along. I smiled, I listened. I pretended not to notice her sudden late meetings. But I noticed everything. The way she'd change into something more daring before leaving. The way she'd check her reflection twice. The way she'd hum the same tune every time she texted him. Every lie she told made me colder. The breaking point came one Sunday morning. She was scrolling through her phone, smirking. "What's so funny?" asked, trying to sound casual. "Nothing. Just people pretending to be in love online. It's pathetic." That was it. The irony of her words hit so deep, I almost laughed. Instead, I looked at her and said, "You used to believe in love once." "Yeah," she said, still scrolling. "Before I realized it's just a phase." "Then maybe," I said quietly, "this phase should end." She looked up, confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean," I said steady, "I'm done pretending." Her jaw tensed. "You're seriously doing this now?" He nodded. "You gave up on us long ago." "I'm just catching up." The next evening was when she made that fatal mistake. The dinner, the smirk, the words. "Don't like it. Find someone else." And I finally told her the truth I'd been holding in. "I already did." Her face went pale. "You what?" she whispered. "I found someone who listens," I said softly. "Who cares? Who doesn't treat me like I'm disposable?" "Who is she?" "Maya," I said simply. "But don't worry, it's not what you think. She's not my lover. She's just proof that I can still be loved. That I'm not as impossible as you made me feel." Her lips parted, her eyes widening as realization sank in. "You're lying." "No," I said, standing up. "You were the only liar in this marriage." The divorce papers came 2 months later. She didn't fight. Didn't plead. Didn't even apologize. But one night she showed up at my door. It was raining. She looked smaller somehow, like her confidence had washed away with the storm. "I made a mistake," she whispered. "I didn't say anything. I thought he loved me," she continued, her voice cracking. "But it was just a game to him." I exhaled, my heart breaking all over again. Not because I wanted her back, but because I could still feel her pain. "Sarah," I said quietly, "I loved you enough for both of us. But love doesn't survive neglect. It starves." Tears streamed down her face. "I didn't mean to lose you." "You didn't lose me," I said, my voice steady. "You let me go." Months passed. Maya eventually left the firm. We stayed friends, nothing more. I didn't need another relationship. I needed time to rebuild myself from the ruins of one. Sometimes late at night, I'd scroll through old photos of Sarah and me. Smiling, happy, naive. And I'd wonder when exactly love had turned into resentment. Was it gradual or did it happen all at once? But then I'd remember her words. "Find someone else." And my own reply. "Already did." Not a replacement. Not revenge. Just rediscovering myself. The man I was before love became war. The man who finally learned that sometimes, walking away isn't weakness. It's the only way to survive.